Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Today, we'll be talking about sleeping well with multiple sclerosis. Your presenter is Andrea Salmon, and my name is Andrea Salmon, and I'm your facilitator. We begin all our programs with an acknowledgement. We acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional custodians, past and present, on whose lands we meet today. We acknowledge the deep feelings of attachment and the relationship of Aboriginal people to country, and we respect the cultural authority of the elders in each community. I'll now like to introduce you to our presenter, Andrea Salmon. So Andrea is one of the Education and Wellbeing program coordinators here at MSL. She started with MSL as an occupational therapist and has held various roles since starting with us some 17 odd years ago, I believe, Andrea.
Not too long.
Andrea believes that knowledge is power and wants people living with multiple sclerosis to feel supported and empowered to make informed choices regarding living well with MS. In her current role, Andrea is able to combine her clinical experience and her educational philosophy to provide quality experiences for people living with MS, their friends and families through our webinars and also through our face-to-face wellness programs, which we are hoping to recommence in 2021.
Thanks so much, Annie, for that lovely introduction, and thanks everyone for being online today. Sleep is such an important area of our life. So we're going to start right up at the get-go with a question: how did you sleep last night? So I'm going to get Annie to run that as a poll for me. Just finding out how you slept last night. We've been having a run of hot weather that often changes how you sleep. So let's find out how you slept.
Okay, so there's the poll there on your screen, and the possible responses are: like a log, woke once to go to the toilet but went straight back to sleep, had trouble getting to sleep, woke a few times during the night, or tossed and turned all night. So I'll give you a few more seconds to complete that. We've got most people have responded now, which is great.
We know that if you're watching this as a recording afterwards, you won't be able to participate in the polls, but it's a good way of getting a sense of what people are experiencing.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so we've got most of you casted your vote now, which is fantastic. I'll now close it and share the response. Okay, so it looks like the majority of you woke a few times during the night. So that's 42%. 29% tossed and turned all night. That sounds really awful. I'm so sorry to hear that. 16% woke once to go to the toilet. 10% had trouble getting to sleep. And 3%, only 3%, slept like a log. So there you go. Not a great night overall.
But certainly well done to the people who did sleep like a log and who find that they're able to get up to the toilet and then go back to sleep. That's great. But we all experience sleep differently, and we all need different amounts of sleep. And there's actually no rule around it. They say the average adult needs 7 to 8 hours sleep per night, but we're all really different when it comes to how much sleep we need. But you've all come along because you're interested in improving your sleep, and that's a really good thing because sleep is really important. It's important for good brain health. It's important for enhancing our ability to solve problems, to learn, for our memory, as well as some degree of repair that is able to happen in our bodies as we sleep. Sleep is really important for the immune system, as well as our metabolism and our general well-being. So because you're interested in improving your sleep, we're going to give you the opportunity to make sleep your new superpower. So I'm going to have a go now at showing you a video. And Annie, I'm hoping I can do this, but it might need you. We'll see. No, I think I've got it.
What if I told you that you have the power to lower your chances of getting in a car accident, improve your ability to fight off getting sick, and decrease your risk factors for Alzheimer's? Better yet, what if I told you that you don't have to pay for this superpower and it's something that you already like to do? What is this superpower? Sleep. Today, we will give you a greater appreciation for your nightly ritual and have you rethinking your priorities when it comes to how sleep factors into your life. Sleep occupies nearly a third of our lives, but most of us don't give enough attention to it. Bragging about how little sleep you get because you're getting more work done is often seen as a badge of honour. "I'll sleep when I'm dead," is a common comment. Sleep should not be considered as lost time or a way to rest once our work is done. It is one of our body's critical functions. Sleep allows the body to balance and regulate all the essential systems, including respiration, circulation, growth, and the body's immune response. People who report not getting enough sleep are more likely to report that they have one or more chronic health problems like obesity, diabetes, depression, Alzheimer's, and cancer. Does sleep really matter? Well, the quick answer is yes. Let's look at the benefits of getting a good night's sleep. 1. Learning and memory. Sleep helps the brain commit new information to memory through a process called memory consolidation. In studies, people who'd slept after learning a task did better on tests later. 2. Metabolism and weight. Chronic sleep deprivation may cause weight gain by affecting the way our bodies process and store carbohydrates, and by altering levels of hormones that affect our appetite. 3. Safety. Sleep debt contributes to a greater tendency to fall asleep during the daytime. These lapses may cause falls and mistakes, such as medical errors, air traffic mishaps, and road accidents. 4. Mood. Sleep loss may result in irritability, impatience, inability to concentrate, and moodiness. Too little sleep can also leave you too tired to do all the things you like to do. 5. Cardiovascular health. Serious sleep disorders have been linked to hypertension, increased stress hormone levels, and irregular heartbeat. 6. Disease. Sleep deprivation alters immune function, including the activity of the body's killer cells. Keeping up with sleep may also help fight cancer. How many hours of sleep do we actually need? Adults need about 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Teenagers need 8 to 10 hours, and 6 to 12-year-olds need 10 to 13 hours. Now, how many of us can actually say we are getting in those required hours of sleep on a regular basis? So try to get the quality sleep time into your daily routine, and you can see the benefit for yourself. We hope we've given you a new appreciation for the benefits of sleep. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe to You Curious. Discover more, know more.
I hope that might have been enough to convince you, or maybe you already knew the benefits of a good night's sleep. But why is it so elusive? For all of us, there are many reasons why a good night's sleep can be really hard to achieve. A good night's sleep can be interrupted by a neighbour coming home, by the curtain being left ajar and so the street light streams in, or maybe the bedroom becoming too hot or too cold. Sometimes we develop habits that impact our sleep. Exercising too close to bedtime because it's the only time left in the day to go out for a run. Maybe we're smoking. Maybe we're drinking more tea or coffee or cola drinks or even hot chocolates and forgetting about the impact of caffeine. Or maybe we're taking our screens with us to bed in the form of the TV in the bedroom or the laptop to watch a movie or even the phone that you might use as an alarm, but you might also be just quickly checking your social media or your emails when you're meant to be winding down. Or the big one is stress. So sorry, I think I should have been putting these in. My bad. And when you're living with multiple sclerosis, there are other reasons why your sleep might be impacted as well. So sleep disturbance is actually really common in MS, perhaps more common than we're fully aware of. Back in 2012, a research study was done that reported 67% of people living with MS had poor sleep compared to 44% in the general population. And many MS symptoms like nocturia, which means getting up to the toilet multiple times a night, or things like pain, spasticity, leg cramps, and even heat and cold sensitivity can all impact sleep. MS-related things like the medications that you're on, these might also have an impact on your sleep quality. For example, I was reading about diet pills and how many diet pills actually contain stimulants that can interfere with sleep. Or you might be on a diuretic for high blood pressure, and that can impact your sleep. Perhaps you need to avoid diuretics before bedtime, taking them in the morning so that the urge to go to the toilet doesn't affect your sleep could be one solution. But speak to your GP or your pharmacist before making any changes to your medication like that yourself. And don't underestimate the impact depression, anxiety, and the psychological burden of living with multiple sclerosis can have on your sleep quality. We also know that sleep disorders in MS are underdiagnosed. So maybe something bigger is going on, like sleep apnea, for example. It's really important to take time to reflect on why you might not be getting a good night's sleep. From even those few things, has anything triggered a thought about the reasons that why your sleep might be being disturbed? Do you experience any of these? It's a really good idea to spend that time focusing and thinking about what might be impacting on my sleep. So, armed with that information, what can we change? What we want to do is ensure that we're putting everything in place to get a good night's sleep, and then to seek further information if none of these changes are making a significant difference. So if you noted that your MS symptoms might be the reason that you're awake in the night, jot them down for your next GP appointment or your next neurologist visit and get them checked out. A referral to a physio for those spasms or leg cramps could be really useful. A referral to a continence nurse to just have a check about the frequency that you're going to the toilet overnight. Or maybe a chat to your pharmacist to see if there are any medications that you're on that could be disturbing your sleep. They're all great places to start. But we also need to consider, are we dealing with the occasional night of poor sleep? Or have your sleep habits changed? Is your fatigue worse? So have a little think about that too. Is this just random? I experience the random night of poor sleep, but I don't have it every night. I know that if I have a bad night's sleep, I'll probably have a really good night's sleep the next night because I'll be in that sleep debt sort of experience. But if you're having ongoing, all the time sleep disturbance, that's when you need to check it out. And if your fatigue is worse, you need to consider, is it because of your sleep? What's changed? What's going on? Disturbed sleep is only a problem if it's a problem for you. Sometimes we get a bit caught up with, I should be sleeping this much, or I should be doing this. I shouldn't be awake in the night. Truth is, everyone's different, and we can consider general ways to improve our sleep, and that's what we'll look at now, and that's called sleep hygiene. So sleep hygiene is a term that's used to refer to the habits that help us have a good night's sleep. And common sleeping problems may actually be caused by our own poor routines. Sometimes we develop these over years, sometimes over decades, and it can be really hard to change those habits, but it's really important to consider whether some of the routines and the habits that you have might actually be contributing to your poor sleep. So now's the time that we'll have a series of slides to reflect on those habits that might be adding to your sleep challenges. So, first off, it's what you're doing during the day. One of the key pieces of evidence that we see over and over again in all the literature around sleep is around sleep routines and it's about having a regular going to bed time and a regular getting up time. They say don't stay in bed because you're tired or because you didn't sleep well. Our brains seem to need this idea of regular routine. So the same getting up time and the same going to bed time. Exercise outside every day. Exercise can really help with stress and anxiety and depression. And if you can exercise 30 minutes a day, that's fabulous. And even better if you can do it outside. But avoid exercising in the 3 hours before bedtime. When we exercise outdoors in the sunshine, we're actually also aiding our melatonin production. And that in turn enhances our sleep cycles because melatonin is really valuable and needed for our sleep cycles. So try to exercise at regular times each day. It can help obtain good sleep quality as well as establishing that regular pattern to your day. Be aware of caffeine. If you're sensitive to caffeine, and I've got to say from personal experience, this can change over time, watch out for the hidden caffeine. Tea also contains caffeine, as does cola and some other soft drinks, as well as chocolate, hot chocolates, chocolate blocks, chocolate bars. So caffeine is a stimulant that can keep you awake. We want to be looking at a maximum of 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day and 4 to 5 cups of tea. But as I said, your sensitivity to caffeine can change over time. So it's really important to look at that. And then thinking about your rest breaks. We talk a lot about rest breaks as one of the most valuable ways of managing fatigue, but there's a difference between rest breaks and sleep. Too many rest breaks and having your rest breaks too close to bedtime can actually have a negative effect on your sleep if they are too close to bedtime or if they're too long during the day. You need to have quite a good balance about when you rest, how much you rest, and the way that you rest. So it requires a bit of experimentation, but if you are a good rester, which I've got to say is a really good thing, maybe you need to have a think about when am I resting and am I getting enough of the balance of the exercise and the rest to help me sleep well at night. So yeah, if you do nap in the afternoon, that might be okay, but maybe try not to nap in the early evening or the evening. So that's our first area to think about. What are we doing during the day? I'm going to pass back over to Annie to run another poll because I'd love you to think about, are there things that you could alter in your daytime routine that might actually help your sleep? So over to you, Annie. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Andrea. And I've just launched that next poll. And the question is, are any of these issues impacting your sleep? And the possible responses: yes, I get up frequently to go to the toilet. Yes, I am woken with spasms. Sorry, Andrea?
Sorry, Annie. I think I must have missed a poll. I was hoping for the poll that said, what's one thing you could alter during your daytime routine?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to close this one now then. And we've had quite a few people respond. Sorry about that. Let's see what we've got. Here we go. All right.
I've got to say that's great if you're identifying what might be disturbing your sleep. That is fantastic. So I'm jumping now to let's look at some things we can do.
All right, great. So the possible responses are: I'll get up at a regular time. I'll try to get more exercise. I'll cut down the amount of caffeine in my diet. I'll change the timing of my rest breaks, or I'll talk to my pharmacist about the timing of my tablets. So I'll leave that up for a few more seconds, give you all a chance to respond. Okay, we're getting close to nearly everybody, just a couple more seconds. Okay, we're close to 80%. Just a few more to respond. Maybe I should stop talking to let you think of your responses. Okay, it looks like that's everybody for now. So I'll close that and we'll have a look at the responses. Okay, so that's great. 38% say they'll try to get more exercise. 31% will get up at a regular time. 19% will change the timing of their rest breaks. 9% will cut down on the amount of caffeine in their diet. And 3% will talk to their pharmacist about the timing of their tablets. So that's great.
That's fantastic. So jot those things down so that it prompts you that this is what you said you were going to do, and then that will help prompt you to do it. That's fabulous. So the idea of going to bed and getting up at a regular time might be new to some of you. And I know the natural response is, oh, I sleep in because I didn't sleep so well, so I stay in bed a bit longer. So look, it really is worth knowing how much our brains value the degree of routine that you can bring about by having that regular going to bed and regular getting up time. This is actually one of the activities that we do in the Facets, the fatigue management program that we run, and it's a sleep activity rest planner. It's a tool that helps you to establish your sleep and wake routines and a bit of a schedule of rest. Now, given what I just said about rest breaks, I don't like rest number 4 in there because I think that's far too close to bedtime. But let's leave that one for now. Let's have a look mainly at the regular going to bed and regular getting up time. It's really good to identify what that time will be for you. It must be realistic for you. So choose a time that you go to bed most nights now. And if you feel that you need to change that time, do it gradually over days or weeks. Don't do it suddenly and expect it all to work. So choose your regular time and then work back 30 minutes from that time, because this is going to be your wind down time, a time for you to gradually cease the activity that you're doing and do some routine low-level tasks only. And we'll get to that in the next slide. And then for the morning, identify a time to wake up. Again, make it realistic. Don't try and change how long you sleep for yet. You might need to set an alarm to be consistent, but work out a realistic waking up time for you. And then add 30 minutes to this. So you might do it that you work out, I need to be up by this time, and you put 30 minutes behind that. Or you work out that I naturally wake up around here and I'm going to give myself 30 minutes to wind up. You can work out how to do that. But it's giving yourself a wind up time. So you use that time to gradually start becoming active. Again, doing some of those low level things like maybe looking at a magazine that you've got beside your bed, or maybe that's a good time to do some stretching in bed before you even get up. Or maybe it's listening to the radio. It's not screen time. So 30 minutes for wind down and 30 minutes for wind up. What you do in the evening, this is the wind down time now. What you do in the evening and how you use that wind down time is really important to set yourself up for a good night's sleep. So eat dinner at least 3 hours before bed. That gives your body time to completely digest the food. However, for some people, a light snack before bed can be really helpful if you find that your blood sugar drops at night and that triggers you waking up in the middle of the night. The suggestion from the literature says a protein-rich food and avoid anything with a high sugar content. Maybe a glass of warm milk at bedtime instead of eating something. So that can be an idea if that's a factor for you. Again, like we said before, avoid exercising close to bedtime because that also stimulates you. And think about some activities to use to unwind. It might be a relaxation exercise, some deep breathing, or a visualization. Now, when we talk about these, we often talk about apps on our phones. So maybe this is something you do outside of the bedroom before you go to bed. You might listen to a relaxation technique. You might put on your app. Smiling Minds is a good one that has different lengths of just little techniques to help calm and relax. And when you practice those techniques, you'll also be able to utilize them when you're in bed without the device, which is really helpful. Maybe having a herbal tea, chamomile, lemon balm, passion flower. They're apparently natural sedatives. Don't work for everybody, but for some people, they find that nice cup of tea. I do like chamomile. I find that relaxing, can be really helpful before bed. And for some people, taking a hot bath or shower before bed can facilitate sleep. You might have to weigh up the benefits and the negatives if you're heat sensitive. But again, some people find that heat sensitivity makes them sleepy, and so that helps them get a good night's sleep. And then creating a bedtime ritual, that also helps you prepare your body for rest, and your brain knows, okay, they're getting ready for bed. This is sleep time. So that could be things like turning off the TV or the computer an hour before bedtime. It's changing into your pajamas. It's maybe getting some things ready for the next day. It's also brushing your teeth and doing those things that help signal to your body and your brain that this is bedtime. And then the last half hour is really good if you can spend that time listening to relaxing music, reading a book, nothing too stimulating. That can be the challenge too. Some books can be stimulating. Avoid smoking before bedtime and avoid alcohol before bedtime. On the smoking one, we actually would encourage you to quit smoking, and there's another whole program on that. But the smoking has been shown to be associated with higher lesion load in MS, as well as being a stimulant that can affect your sleep. So the alcohol one is important as well. So then we also want to make sure that we've created a bedroom that is a tranquil haven. Decorating your bedroom with colours and artwork and fabric that you find restful. Ban all televisions, computers, iPhones and iPads from the bedroom. Clear away the clutter. Make your bedroom just really a peaceful place. Enhance your sleep with aromatherapy. Lavender, marjoram and orange oils can be calming. But again, make sure you're not doing anything with a naked flame that could be dangerous, and using good quality essential oils. Make sure your bed is comfortable. Can you turn over readily? Is the mattress providing you with good support? Maybe you need a bedboard under the mattress if it's a bit saggy. That could make it a little bit firmer. How old is your pillow? Do you need a new pillow? Is it too flat, too lumpy? Perhaps it's time to purchase a new pillow. And then thinking about a comfortable sleep position. Sometimes people need a small pillow, maybe between their legs or at their back. That can be really helpful in alleviating pain and helping minimize spasticity. Maybe you need the bed head a little bit higher so that you're not completely flat if you suffer from heartburn or gastric reflux. And then keeping the room to a comfortable temperature for you. Thinking of the thickness of your bedclothes. Do you need a lighter summer version than a warmer winter version? Even the night clothes and the bed, your jammies or your nightie that you're wearing and the sheets that you're using can be assistive in helping get a good night's sleep. I've been aware of the value of satin sheets to help some people be able to turn over. The risk is satin sheets and satin nightie, you can be slipping right out of bed. And thinking about what your bedroom is used for. Really, it's for sleep and for intimacy and nothing else. Everything else needs to be moved out of the room. So hard when we've been working from home, but if you can have your workspace in a completely different area or cover it when it comes time for bed. It just helps make it distinct that this is now bedtime. And if your sleep cycle is way off, you might need some assistance in resetting your sleep clock. That's gradual. It never happens quickly. So a bit like I said about adjusting your sleep time or going to bed time, do that slowly over a number of days or weeks. So thinking about our bedroom, I've got another poll for you, because in each of these things, I want you to be thinking about what you can do to make a difference to improve your sleep. So Annie, we're going to run the poll about the bedroom now. Thank you.
Okay, great. I've just launched that. So as you can see there on the screen, the question is there something about your bedroom that you could change? And the responses that you can choose from, I could move the TV out. I could leave the mobile phone in the kitchen. I could adjust the room temperature with a heater or open window. I could put a heavier curtain to make the room darker, or I could go to bed at a regular time. So I'll give you a few minutes to respond to that. That's great. Many of you have cast your votes, so that's excellent. Great, thanks everybody. I'll close that now and share the responses. All right, fantastic. So as you can see there, 49% will go to bed at a regular time. 26% will leave the mobile phone in the kitchen. That's a good one. I do the same. 14% will adjust the room temperature with a heater or an open window, and 11% will put a heavier curtain to make the room darker. So there you go. Well done.
That's great. Yes, well done. It's so good to identify some of these reasonably simple, not always simple, but reasonably simple things that we can do to help improve our experience of sleep. So that's great. Well done. Well done for identifying that. So what happens during the night? If you wake up during the night, do you manage to get back to sleep quickly? If you find that you're lying awake, this is where your relaxation and your breathing exercises can be really helpful. But if even they don't work, don't stay in bed. If you're having a particularly difficult time getting back to sleep after waking, then get up. Don't put on bright lights, because that can trigger the melatonin levels to decrease, and that signals it's time to wake up. Just keep everything dim. Maybe listen to soothing music or a relaxation CD, or maybe read something that, again, not stimulating, just really low level. Do not turn on a computer. No two people need the same amount of sleep, but what we want to make sure is that we're getting restful, undisturbed sleep. So breaking this cycle of the messages that we're saying to ourselves, you know, like, oh, I should be going to sleep. I've got to get up in 3 hours. I should be sleeping now. Why can't I sleep? Break that by getting up and doing something very low level. Seems like the wrong thing to do, but it can. We sleep. Our sleep comes in cycles. So by getting up, that can mean that we just allow our cycle to come back round, and then we're sleepy again, go back to bed. It might be that something's actually really worrying you. So by getting up and jotting down what's worrying you, that might be enough to let your brain relax then, so you can go back to sleep.
Andrew, if I can interrupt for a second there.
Yeah.
We've had a comment come through from Ross, and he's saying that the problem with leaving the mobile phone in the kitchen is that he finds that he needs it sometimes when he wakes up and during the night, but can't get up. So I'm assuming that, Ross, you're meaning that you call someone to assist you. I'm wondering if there's another option that Ross can take up, Andrea.
That's a good idea. I know a lot of people use their mobile phone as their alarm, and, you know, alarm clocks are still available, and that can be a better alternative than having the phone. I guess it's really more about, are you tempted when the phone is in your room, are you tempted to check your social media and look at your emails as you're going to bed? or during the night when you're awake, where really even the amount of light that comes from your phone screen can be enough to tell your brain to drop the melatonin levels and to stimulate you. So it's a real fact, and there's lots of evidence now saying that the light coming from the screens into our eyes is detrimental to our sleep. So I guess it just depends on the way you're using it. If your phone sits face down with no volume up on the side of your bed and you never touch it unless you need to contact someone, that's probably not a problem. It's recognizing, is this device actually causing me to sleep poorly because I'm checking it before I go to bed? I'm then thinking about what I've just looked at and what I've read and what I need to do tomorrow. And so now my brain's stimulated and I'm thinking about work, or I'm thinking about the family, or I'm thinking about that person that said that stupid comment on Facebook. You've got to think about how you're using it and why you're using it in the bedroom. That's more why we talk about not having the phones there. If it dings and you want to look at it, that's when I say put it outside. But if you've got a family member that's coming home and they need to contact you, you need to have it there. But you've got to look at how you're using it and why you're using it. Is that okay for now?
Great. Good advice. Yep. Thanks, Andrea.
Cool. And this goes to this next slide as well, because you might want to consider keeping a sleep diary, and we sent you one with the handouts, because this can be really useful in figuring out what is going on for you. So it's a daily log of your sleep-wake pattern. It helps you monitor how long you've been sleeping, but it also helps you think about, what was I doing during the day that might actually be having an impact on my sleep? And what was I doing in the evening? What were the triggers to why I woke up? You know, it just helps you reflect on that and think about it and see if there are any patterns. I remember many years ago, excuse me, we had a couple of students with us, and we got them doing some work around sleep. And one lady recognised that the day she had a massage, she slept really well that night. And the other thing that was observed was one of the girls was into calisthenics, which she did in the evening, and that night she didn't sleep well. So, you know, there seemed to be that practical correlation to what all the evidence said, which we should believe, but it was good to see it in action. So it was only when they reflected on it that they saw what was going on. Now, I'm just going to check with Annie. Annie, are there any other polls?
Just bear with me a moment. No, that's it, Andrea.
Okay, that's cool. So the other thing just to think about is, okay, no, I'll go on. Sorry, I digress. So just a word on meditation and relaxation. Meditation can take several forms, really, and it is the most commonly studied practice for insomnia, or I should say the most commonly studied form of meditation is mindfulness meditation. And there is lots of evidence that this can be really helpful for helping us calm down and for helping us sleep well. So you get the most benefit from your rest breaks if you use a meditation practice, and it also can assist you with sleep issues. So it's actually a technique that I would really strongly recommend that you learn. It's a way of focusing the mind, stilling that endless chatter that goes on in our brains and can rob us of energy. It can help control negative emotions and thoughts and turn them into more positive ways of thinking. And there are further webinars on our website about meditation and relaxation, and we regularly run mindfulness programs as well. So I'd really encourage you to check those out, or you might find something local to where you live, or you might do something online. So along with things like massage and aromatherapy, yoga and Tai Chi, meditation, mindfulness, relaxation are all in that area of growing evidence for the benefits on our sleep. Won't have immediate effects necessarily. It's something you need to learn over time. So let's have a go at a breathing exercise. So this one is for you to try, and I would hope that you would find it helpful. But there are numerous different styles of relaxation technique. So if you feel comfortable, just sit yourself upright, feet flat on the floor, things out of your hands. You might want to do like the lady in the picture is doing, or you might just rest your hands gently on your lap. If you feel comfortable to close your eyes or just look down, focus on your breath as you're breathing in and out. Focus your attention on the tip of your nose. If your mind wanders, just bring it back to the tip of your nose. And count each breath as you breathe out. Observe the flow of air as you breathe in and out through your nose. You might want to count each breath, again, so that your focus can remain with your breathing and you can let other thoughts go. Just focusing all your attention on your breathing. Notice how your breathing slows down and deepens. And within just a matter of seconds, you're feeling more relaxed. So hang on to that feeling, and we'll come back to the slides for the last few slides in the program. That's just one technique. There are many and varied breathing techniques, but it's good to have a few up your sleeve for when you're needing to wind down, and particularly when you're awake in the night. So we also thought it was important to acknowledge that sometimes sleeping pills have a place in helping you get back into a better pattern of sleep. We would always encourage you to make the lifestyle changes first, to think about those things that we've talked about in today's program. But if that's not enough and that's not working, talk to your GP, talk to your neurologist as well. There are medications that can be helpful for getting you back into a sleep, a good sleep pattern. But, they often do have side effects and they can be addictive. So they tend to only offer a temporary solution, but it might be just what you need to get back into a good pattern of sleep, and then have all these other things in place as well, particularly that awareness of why you might not be sleeping well. And if your sleep issues persist and you've done absolutely everything, it might actually be that you need a referral to a sleep clinic, because as we said at the start, the incidence of sleep disorders is much higher in people with MS than it is in the general population. So you might need a referral to find out what's going on. So talk to your doctor if that's the case. So some take-home messages. Poor sleep absolutely adds to your fatigue that you'll be experiencing, and it impacts dramatically on your ability to carry out all the things that you want to do during the day. There are a number of common sleep issues for everybody, but there is another overlay when you're living with multiple sclerosis of MS sleep issues, and then that whole nother area of sleep disorders. A sleep diary can be useful in identifying those contributing factors for poor sleep. And we really, really need to consider the strategies the things that we're doing during the day, during the evening, and during the night that assist with our sleep. So sleep issues can be managed, and you might need to seek further advice. So what are you going to walk away with from this session today? What changes are you going to consider? Did you jot down those things that you answered in the polls that were the prompts for making some changes, or are you going to seek some further advice? Hopefully there's been something that has either reminded you of something from the past, or maybe something that was new today that you're going to take on board and try to follow up. I hope there has been something. So now we've got an opportunity for some questions, and I think Annie will give us some info to allow time for those questions, unless there are lots of questions already, Annie, and then we can go straight to that. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. That was great. Not too many questions as yet, so we'll give you time to type in anything that you want to say or ask. We have had one comment come through from Bree. Bree's saying that she finds that the best advice that she was ever given to help with her nocturia, and I hope I pronounced that correctly,
the nighttime toileting.
Yep, was no liquids after 6 p.m. So that's helped her a lot, so that's great.
That's good. I hope that was on advice from a continence nurse, because I will just give a caution around that. Reducing the amount of fluid you drink might not be the solution for everyone. Fantastic that it's worked for you, but there is a caution around making sure that you're still drinking enough water during the day. But that idea of not drinking after 8 o'clock, maybe 6 o'clock feels a bit early, but after 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock might be helpful in that too. But absolutely get advice. The MS bladder is a tricky bladder, so make sure you get some advice on that. Thank you.
All right, great. Christine's got a really good question. What is a good length of time to take for a nap? She says that some days she just can't make it through the day, but she feels like it messes up her bedtime if she has too long a nap.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Look, rest breaks are one of the trickiest things. We advocate rest breaks as the #1 way of managing MS fatigue, but we also recognise that there are no real set rules, which is really frustrating, because it would be so great if we could say do A, B, and C. But you make an absolutely fabulous point that you don't want to be having big rests that muck up your sleep. So my advice is shorter rest breaks before you feel you even need them. So the principle is, if you wait until you feel you need a rest break, you've left it a bit long. So next day, bring it back earlier. So some people find what they benefit from is 10 minutes at 10 o'clock and then another 10 minutes at 1 o'clock, making sure they have a good lunch break as well. So they're changing what they're doing and having a lunch break. And then maybe they need another short rest break at 3:30. So they need to be, 10 minutes to half an hour would probably be tops. 10 minutes would be fabulous if you can make that rest break a really good quality rest break. And by that I mean it's not just having a cup of tea and a biscuit, it's actually spending that 10 minutes with your headphones in, doing a mindfulness meditation to actually fully relax and allow your body to restore. If you do it as a Sudoku and a crossword while you have a cup of tea, that's still using your brain and that's still stimulating. So you need to make sure it's a proper rest break, but yeah, maybe bring it earlier and make it quite short and effective. That would be my advice. But play around with it. It can be really hard to figure out what's right for you.
Great, thanks, Andrea. Anne has asked the question, why can't we look at blue light? So what's the issue around
Good
blue
question,
light?
Anne. The blue light is dampening our melatonin. So melatonin levels, now let's see if I get this right. Melatonin levels are at their lowest in the morning. So, and that's where sunlight can be really helpful, because it actually helps dampen our melatonin. And then during the day, our melatonin levels rise until bedtime, when they're helpful for us sleeping well. So if we are not getting out much in the daytime, we're not getting that real shift in our melatonin. So getting outside in the morning without sunglasses on is really important to get that daylight into our eyes. And then the converse happens with screens. The screens are emitting light that is keeping our melatonin levels dampened. Even this week, I heard on the radio a researcher talking about the lights in our house. Maybe just having the lights on in the evening can be too bright for people, and that's not letting them get that restful sleep. So so then there's also the theory of the light coming from the television is usually across the other side of the room. The light coming from my computer screen is at least arm's length. The light coming from my phone is usually right up here. So you're allowing more light in, and that can be disturbing your sleep. You can alter the filters on your light, on your computer or phone. You can put filters on to reduce the blue light, and there are also, some people get glasses that also help filter out the blue light. So the evidence is all showing that it's not helpful for our sleep.
That's right. Okay, Teresa's asking about the Facets program. She said that she's tried everything that you've mentioned today. However, she's not getting any improvement, and she wants to know a bit more about the Facets program.
The Facets is not a sleep program, it's a fatigue management program, and it is we run it regularly by webinar, and it's a 6-week course. So and we won't be running it again this year, but they're on our website where you see upcoming programs. So in the education area of the ms.org.au website, you can express your interest in fatigue management programs, because what I can send you is a link to an online version of the Facets program. So that could be a good alternative, given we've now got, we're just finishing a Facets program, and we won't be running one again this year. We don't have 6 weeks before Christmas, can you believe it? But we'll run them in the new year, and maybe you could do the online version over the Christmas break. That could be helpful. So find that expressions of interest or email education, and we'll pop you in there.
All right, great. Thanks, Andrea. Just a couple more questions. I'm mindful of the time. Lewis has mentioned that his legs seem to be very sensitive with certain sheets. Do you have any recommendation on what material is best for bed sheets?
No, that's such an individual experience, Lewis. I'm sorry I don't, but play around. That can be another benefit of pillows. You could actually maybe put a pillow at the bottom of your bed so that it lifts the sheets up off your legs a little bit. Maybe that could be useful. But if it's in terms of the fabric and sensitivity, look, I don't really know what would be better. That's such an individual experience, I think. Sorry, I can't offer anything for that.
All right, thanks, Andrea. One more question from Stephen. He says a lot of pain prevents him from sleeping at night. His mind starts racing while he's awake, and it's kept him up all night at times, and he finds it's a catch-22 situation. So he feels stuck, and so it's almost like as if he might need a circuit breaker.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So hopefully, getting some further advice around the pain management might be possible. You know, I would hope you've already been referred to a pain specialist, but if not, that might be the idea. And maybe even a referral to a psychologist who can help with some of the sometimes pain management incorporates some self-talk as well, as does sleep issues. So, you know, it can be that difference between developing some self-talk that says it's okay that I'm not sleeping right now, I'll sleep later, I'm still resting. So that could be one thing to consider. Another thing and you might have already tried this, but journaling can actually be really helpful. So, you know, not the old-fashioned I keep a diary of what I've done during the day, but the idea of writing down what's going on. You might never show it to anyone, you might actually burn it the next day, but putting things down on paper has been shown to be really helpful for getting it out of our head. Putting it on the paper somehow lets us relax about it a little bit. So journaling could be helpful. Yeah, even a gratitude, you know, that kind of approach, trying to offset the negative with some positive of what you've been experiencing during the day. Looking for the small wins could be helpful.
That sounds like good advice. Thanks, Andrea. A couple of more people have mentioned pain as well. So similarly to what you mentioned for Stephen, maybe seeing the specialist regarding that. Jana's just mentioned CBT therapy. So I believe that's cognitive behaviour therapy.
Yeah, and that's the basis of the Facets program, really. It's recognising how much our automatic thoughts influence our behaviours, and you know, that automatic thought of lying in bed awake going, oh, this is a disaster, I'm going to be hopeless tomorrow, I should be sleeping, what's wrong with me, you know, 2 hours and I need to get up. If you can break that and instead say, this is really great that I've got this opportunity just to rest in bed without having to do anything. How lovely that I can think about my family members or my pets or my lovely garden, and I'll just spend some time focusing on that. Just changing that way of thinking. Yeah. But yes, getting some advice and some support. And I do know that the government has extended the program of subsidy for psychology appointments to 20 appointments. So that's a fantastic opportunity. Talk to your GP about how you access that so that you can have some quality time with a psychologist to work through some changes. Yeah, could be really helpful.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Andrea. All right, a couple more people saying that what they'll do going forward. Anne has mentioned that she's going to try the diary, which is great.
Fantastic.
And Gail has mentioned it's been very informative and a helpful session. And
great.
She can't wait to try some of the tips. So good on you, Gail.
Good. That's wonderful. That's always what we hope, that you go away with something to try, something to follow up, whether it's, you know, whether it's a solution or actually it's starting the journey in a different direction. But we hope you've got some actions to do out of this program. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely. All right, well, we over to 11 o'clock, so we will close shortly. Thanks, Andrea, for the presentation. Lots of lovely information there for us. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for the program. There were some final slides that Andrea flicked through, but I know that you've got them in your handouts, and it's just explaining our services that are available to you. But if there is anything else that you are wondering about or any support you need, MS Connect is the gateway to all our services. The number is there on the screen, 1800 042 138, or you can email them on that email address there. So I hope everyone has a really good night's sleep tonight and going forward, and have a lovely weekend, and do take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.